21-1268. Now, Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Holding down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city on this Tuesday. Hope your work week's off to a good start. Appreciate you hanging out with us. Casey Gaines and Jacob Beck back there on the ones and twos. With you till 3 o'clock. Gonna have Glenn West coming up in 30 minutes, talking LSU football and baseball. Sharif Ishak at the bottom of hour number 2. Pell's got another big one tonight on the hardwood. LSU and Nichols tonight. We'll get you ready for it. Got some football thoughts we heard from Matt House earlier today as LSU continues on the spring football grind. But we start with the national title game last night. Final score, not great for viewing. Ratings, not great because it's a really late tip-off and it looked ugly early. I think you probably lost a lot of folks along the way. But San Diego State did put up a fight. They did. Is that what we wanted to see? A team kind of put up a fight and they get beat by 17? No. Does it go a little deeper than that? I think so. Again, I'd rather watch Kansas and Kentucky play. A classic. But UConn was really good. Really, really good. And San Diego State just didn't have enough. SDSU gets up 10-6 about 3.5 minutes into the game. And they did not have another point for 6 minutes and 10 seconds. They did not have a field goal for better than 11 minutes. And at that point, UConn kind of ran them off the floor. They got up 20 points in the first half. They went to the break up 16 after a 30-10 run. Sorry, they went to the break up 12, and it felt like at that point it should have been 20, and it was 12. But UConn just looked much the better. They were quicker. They were far more skilled on the offensive end. San Diego State did drive a little bit. Every time they did, they couldn't deal with the length down low. UConn plays a style of basketball that almost no one plays with two centers down there, and it gave San Diego State offensive fits, and that's what we thought going into the game. You thought, San Diego State's a good defense, and they'll try to grind them down. Can they do it? I kind of doubt it. And so you go to halftime with a 12-point game, and UConn looks to separate. It felt like at that point we had Georgia TCU. Everybody's making the comparisons. I'm getting text messages. It felt like we had Georgia TCU. And that wasn't the case. A lot of people probably turned it off, but San Diego State came roaring back, and they cut it to 5. And at that point, when they cut it to 5, the San Diego State contingent in that place was going bananas. And you could create the narrative, okay, San Diego State has just won 2 straight games by a point. They are in tight games every time they come out. They are comfortable here. UConn's been beating everybody by 20. Do they know how to respond to this? Like, you could make that case at that point when the lead's been whittled down from 18 to 5, and all the momentum is on San Diego State's side. And then right back down in 15 seconds, Hawkins hits a 3 to push it to 8, and then it's off to the races again. Because UConn had the answer to everyone all tournament long. And San Diego State had a great year. They were a very good team, and they deserve to be there. You can say what you want about TCU winning games in the Big 12, coming from behind, winning overtime games, and then really just being tossed into a 4-man tournament and winning one game that they probably don't win. A lot of times they play it 10 times, and then they got a chance. San Diego State got into a 68-team tournament and had to win 5 games to get here. They had to take out the number 1 seed in the tournament to get here. So it's hard for me to malign the tournament or the selection process when it gets down to the end of the NCAA tournament. Like, everybody's just got to go win basketball games, and it wasn't like San Diego State played a 16, 2 13s, and a 9. Like, yeah, they did play Florida Atlantic, but they had to beat Bama. They had to get to Bama by winning 2 games. Was it the hardest road ever? No. But did they deserve to be there? Yeah, they did. You can make the argument all day long, and I will listen to it, that TCU didn't deserve to be in the national championship game for football. I will listen to that all day long. You want to tell me Bama should have been in that spot because they lost 2 overtime games? Okay, I'll listen. I got a harder time with San Diego State. They earned the right to be there, and would I rather watch Alabama on that stage? Would I rather watch Kansas on that stage? Would I rather watch Arizona on that stage? Probably. They all got beat. So San Diego State's what you got. And they came up short. And so the story then shifts to UConn, away from Arizona State. They played 17 games this year, regular season and postseason, against non-Big East teams. They played 17 non-conference games in total. They won every single one by double figures. Every one. Played Oregon, who won 21 games, beat them by double figures. Played Bama, the number 1 overall seed in the tournament, beat them by more than 10. Played Iowa State, who was an NCAA tournament team, finished 5th in the Big 12, double digits. Oklahoma State won 20 games, beat them by double digits. Went to Florida, beat them by double digits. And they got in the NCAA tournament, beat Rick Pitino in the first round. St. Mary's, who was pretty explosive in round 2. Arkansas was hot at the end of the season. Had just knocked off the number 1 seed in their regional. And UConn beat them by 23. Then they showed up and played Gonzaga. Think they're any good? Think they can score? They beat them by 28 points. Miami showed up in the Final Four, guards all over the place, scoring points, playing a frenetic pace. Certainly a change of pace from what you may have seen at another time in the tournament. Beat them by 13. And San Diego State shows up on the other side, and they beat them by 17 points and outclassed them for 36 minutes of the 40. It's a really, really, really good team that for some reason kind of lost its way in January. And what have I always said? That's why I love this thing. And if you're Joe Football, I love Joe Football. We don't see everything eye to eye, but I love the fact that there are so many people around here that are just addicted to the passion and the structure that is football on the college side. You have 3 bad weeks in October, you're done. And that does create more of a sense of urgency during the football season. And I love that. It's great. But I like keeping as many teams engaged as we can and then finding a way to play your best at the end. You want to tell me the football national champion is more worthy at the end than Ole Miss's baseball team last year? I'll listen to that. For sure. But I like the possibility. The fact that your season doesn't have to go perfect. And I never even heard Dan Hurley give an explanation as to why UConn lost its way and was just spinning its tires. They weren't massive injury problems. Everybody's got their bumps and bruises through the course of the season, but they got it done. And that team should not be looked at as some Cinderella run that wasn't a 1, 2, or 3 seed. It should be looked at as a great team that played great for 85% of the year. They were blitzing people in December. They were blitzing people in March and finally April. And I heard Charlie talking about this. I've heard the discussion on Twitter back and forth about blue bloods and whether or not UConn qualifies. I got news for you. Yeah, they do. You win that many titles, not like you had a good player that ran through and you won 2 because he was a 7-footer nobody could guard or the number 1 pick in the draft. They've done this over 2 decades. 3, really. And now you've done it with 3 different coaches, and that, to me, is the most impressive thing. That's what I love about LSU football. It's not that one guy showed up and coached the football team, and that's why titles started coming. LSU's won it with its last 3 coaches. The coach has a ton to do with it, but there's more that goes into it. And if I'm UConn, I'm laying claim to the fact that, hey, we've had 3 different guys show up here and get it done, win titles. And Jim Calhoun deserves the vast majority of this credit for creating the foundation that has become this power that's risen up. But they're certainly a blue blood. They're not going to have the historical wins over 100 years that Kentucky and Kansas have, that North Carolina has. But they're in that category of the elite basketball programs in the country, for sure. I mean, I'm prone to give them more credit for this than Indiana having Bob Knight show up and do 85% of their heavy lifting. They won 1 right before him and then had a Final Four after him. But, like, Bob Knight was the stalwart there for 3 decades. At least UConn put its head above water when Jim Calhoun left. What have we seen from Indiana? A couple good teams? That's a blue blood. I give UConn more credit than Syracuse. 1 guy had won 1 title. You think that's a blue blood? We know Kentucky and Kansas, North Carolina, UCLA, and, you know, Duke is, because Krzyzewski was there for 40 years, like, yeah, that qualifies. 40-year run when we've been playing this for a little over 100 counts. But I'm curious to watch what Duke does in the period after Krzyzewski. I believe they'll still be a power. I believe that they'll certainly be a blue blood. But I am going to give credit to UConn for continuing to climb the mountain. It's not a perfect way to crown a champion. And you got to frame the conversation around that at times, but it's a fun way to determine it. Unfortunately, in this instance, there was one team there that was going to have trouble putting up a fight. And they put up the same fight that Bama and San Diego, at Bama and Gonzaga did, so maybe that's not fair. But UConn deserves a ton of credit. That was a hell of a basketball team they put out on the floor. And I just enjoyed – this sounds really stupid to say, and I know that on its face, but when I watched them, this is what I thought, man, that's a skilled team. And there are plenty of basketball players out there that are high-flying and can block shots and run and get above the rim and throw down alley-oops, and that's really fun to watch too. But I love a team that just looks connected, that can make the pass that needs to be made, that can knock down the open shot when it's there. How about that transition 3 as you're watching TV where it gets dropped off on the left wing, kind of a behind-the-back, no-look drop-off, and the trail guy just catches it and just buries a 3 from the right wing. It was when they were putting it on him in the first half. That's the kind of stuff that really makes me go, oh, that's a good team. And they've got plenty of athleticism, don't get me wrong, but they had shooters, they had scorers, they had passers. They were just tough to deal with on offense, and that's the reason why you look up and you've got a San Diego State defense that's really, really good, and all of a sudden at the end, 76 points later, UConn's hoisting the trophy. Heck of a run by the Huskies, and they deserve it. They deserve all the accolades. It was a wonderful, wonderful ride for those folks. Glenn West is going to be with us talking LSU football and baseball coming up at 1:30. Sharif Ishak at 2:30. Stick with us. The Hunt Palmer Show.
Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
We're going to chat with Glenn West here coming up about tonight's game at the Box. If you're headed to the Box tonight and you're looking for something delicious to drink, Rally Cap is at the Box. You'll find their first pitch. Rally Cap's handmade for the home team right here in Baton Rouge. Got a great brewery over there just off of Segan Lane. 14 beers on tap. Great place to watch a game. They've got 8 TVs. And I want to invite y'all to go out to the Rally Cap Brewery to take a tour. We did it last week with Kevin, and he was so insightful. It was such an interesting thing. I've never toured a brewery before, and it was really, really eye-opening. The tours are Wednesday through Friday at 5, Saturdays at 1, and you got to purchase tickets in advance. It includes a guided flight right there at the end. You can find Rally Cap all over town, including at the Box, or you can head on by their brewery right there and take a tour, which we did, and it is so much fun. I love the first pitch. It was their first pale ale, and it is delicious. It's light. It is refreshing. It's great for these warm months that are coming up, and certainly goes down smooth over at the Box. So check them out with this teal can here that I've got on my set. It is Rally Cap. You can find them at rallycapbrewing.com.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
I drove myself to the ER, had heart surgery, and drove myself home 24 hours later, feeling fine. Starting running again after the procedure, I'm getting excited thinking about it. I had no pain, nothing. I felt great. And right then and there, I was like, oh my God, I'm back. I'm back. It's just amazing.
Ochsner Health. Long live you.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Each year, Guarantee Media hosts a radiothon to benefit Dreams Come True, the local organization that grants dreams to Louisiana kids suffering life-threatening illnesses and their families. We've interviewed these incredible kids, and their stories warm our hearts. And none of it would be possible without your help. So we're asking for your support in our effort to making more dreams come true. Each year, our Dreams Come True radiothon is powered by the Baton Rouge Clinic. Visit GuaranteeMedia.com to pledge your support today, and thank you.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's that time again. It's heating up. Your boat's getting ready to come out and spend all summer on the water. It's time to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service, where if you want an incredible custom speaker install, it's going to blow people away in the water, that's there for you. You want an HD sonar where you can see the fish under the water before you cast, beat all your friends, that's there for you at front-to-back boat service. So don't put it off. We got the parts in right now. Get them now before they go back on back order. Front-to-back boat service.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the...
Join me, Jimmy Out and Mike Delicano for the Tuesday edition of Game Time presented by Bet Rivers. We're at Dozy Place on Government Street in the heart of Mid-City. Game Time presented by Bet Rivers, 6 to 8 p.m. on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
LSU and Nichols tonight from the box. 6:30 first pitch. You can catch it on Eagle 98.1, our sister station. The pregame show will fire up at 6 o'clock. Nichols comes in 17 and 13 on the year. Some noteworthy pieces to their schedule. They went to Louisiana Tech for a 3-game set on the weekend. Lost a lopsided game in game one on Friday, 11-1, but a tight one, 3-2 on Saturday, and then beat Tech 8-0 on Sunday. So nice job there. They went to Memphis and took 2 out of 3. Took 2 out of 3 from ULM. Went up to Nebraska and lost 2 out of 3, but did win the last game in that series. They took 2 out of 3 from McNeese, and then went over to Lamar, and Will's team's playing good over in Beaumont. That was a series at Lamar. They win 9-8 in 19 innings on Friday, then lose a tight one on Saturday, and then come back and win a tough one 4-2 on Sunday. So they've done a nice job this year, has Nichols. So they'll come in with a pretty solid club to Baton Rouge. But again, it's not about Nichols for LSU tonight. This is about LSU, and I went pretty deep into my feelings on LSU's pitching staff, specifically the weekend rotation, on yesterday's show, because I think it's a very, very relevant conversation. And I am curious to see how today's game unfolds. I'm curious to see what the pitching plan is in the game tonight. Is there a plan to stretch someone out in the midweek tonight? Do you want to see Griffin Herring for 3 or 4 innings tonight? Do you want to see Chase Shores for 3 or 4 or 5 innings tonight? Do you want to see Christian Little start a game tonight and go 4 or 5 innings against Nichols? Do you want Riley Cooper to start the game? Do you want Thatcher Hurd to start the game and throw 1 inning or 2 innings or 3 innings or 6 innings if he can get some confidence and pitch against Nichols? This is the first time all year where I've looked at it and gone, this is probably the way I would go. I understand getting a lot of guys work, but more guys got work this weekend because you weren't run ruling everybody, which you were doing as of a month ago. Now you've had some innings. You've had guys pitch some high leverage spots. What do you do with the starting pitching? I have a guess, which is based on absolutely zero inside information. I believe Christian Little will start tonight. He did not pitch over the weekend, and he's a guy that they brought over with the thought that he could be a starter. They liked the way he looked in relief early in the season, so they stuck him there. And then you saw him in 2 SEC weekends. He was on the mound when LSU lost a lead. Now, how much of that was his fault and how much was, not? We've talked about that. I think he wasn't terrible in College Station. I thought he was not good at all against Arkansas. So I think Christian Little is going to start. I would like to see Griffin Herring start. There's something about that kid that I think has a future in the weekend rotation, which they've said forever, and there's something that tells me it could be now. I was so impressed with what I saw from him on Friday night. You got gritty 5 innings from Floyd. You got 2 really good innings from Shores. There were 3 left-handed hitters coming up. Jay goes to Herring. He mows through it in the 8th. They send him back out for the 9th in a 2-run game. He's throwing the ball great. He gets a strikeout to basically end the game, and Brady Neal has it at his feet. He picks it up, lobs it to first base. Morgan drops it. That could send a freshman spiraling in a game that's big, the biggest spot he's ever pitched in his life, unless you would consider some sort of state championship game a bigger spot than facing Tennessee on national television in front of 11,000 people. But I think the Tennessee game probably a little bit bigger. And you could look at this and go, well, he could have dropped his guard and said, I've gotten through this. We win. And then, oh, no, we don't win because we couldn't make the throw to first base. What do I do now? And instead, he just struck the next guy out. He's been a starting pitcher his entire life. He's not ready to throw 98 pitches tonight, but he can throw 55. He can throw 60, and then he can come back, next Tuesday against Tulane and throw 75, and then he's ready to go. I believe that we hit a crossroads with LSU's weekend rotation on Saturday with the way things have gone in game 3s of the weekend. And you don't have to address it. You can throw bullpen games in game 3s. Most teams in the league do it. I was listening to Highway to Hoover last night, which is Joe Healy and Mark Etheridge, both of whom came on this show last week. They do an awesome job for D1 Baseball's SEC Extra team, and they were rolling through teams that are doing bullpen games in game 3s. Florida's going to look into that because Caglione's struggling a little bit pitching. Georgia doesn't have anybody there. A&M's searching for stuff. They've pulled guys out of the weekend rotation 2 weeks in a row. They're looking at bullpen games. Ole Miss had no idea what they're doing with their pitching staff. Arkansas's got bullpen games going. They're getting Hagen Smith in wherever they can find him. It's very common to have bullpen games on the weekend. So it wouldn't be as if you were some sort of massive disadvantage to everyone else. It's not like you're sending out a Major League Baseball team with 3 guys in your rotation instead of 5. This is commonplace. I just felt like at a given point that this LSU team had enough options where they were going to be able to have at least 3 starters, if not a midweek starter as well, so that in a regional situation, if you need to go to a 4th starter, you can have someone who's there and ready to give you 5 or 6 innings. Not a guarantee they would, but they would be ready to do that. And right now, I think LSU's at a crossroads, and it's easier to try something against Nichols on a Tuesday when you're probably going to score 11 than it is to do it in Columbia, South Carolina. So I'm curious to see this. Tonight's one of those games where I'm more interested with how the pitching shakes out than what the final score reads. And I know that is crazy to some people, but that's the way I approach a 56-game baseball season. If you listen to me yesterday, I told you, I said this LSU team, because of their ace and because of the fact that they've got the best lineup in the country, is going to win enough games in the regular season to be a top 8 seed. They're going to do it. Barring some sort of massive injury or unforeseen circumstances, all things being equal, they're going to do it. I'd like to try to find some answers along the way. And tonight, I think, gives you a chance against Nichols. Again, I think it'll be a bullpen game. I think Little will start and go 1 or 2 innings, and I think they'll handle things the way they have because I usually bet on chalk. But I'm curious. Offensively, you just keep it rolling. I don't think at this point there's anybody who's knocking at the door and desperate for at-bats. You've kind of gotten Pearson some ABs. You've gotten Kling some ABs. You've gotten Beloso some ABs. You've gotten Jobert some ABs. You kind of know where you are there. If you want to give Brady Neal a day off, I'm fine with that. He's catching a lot. Milazzo, deserves to play a little bit because he's going to play some more moving forward, especially defensively. Hopefully it goes a little bit better than it did when Ackenhausen came in. That was a weird sequence on Friday. But I don't – the offense, to me, there's not a huge storyline. There's not some young player who might break through that I think's got to be out there. Basically, everyone's kind of gotten their shot, and it's just going to be a matchup deal. We saw a bunch of matchups on Friday when Tennessee was throwing a guy who has maybe the best slider in the conference. You were going to load it with lefties, so they did. They played Jobert, and they played Beloso, and they played Pearson, and they got a bunch of those guys in there with Morgan and Neal and all that. But sometimes you may see a left-hander with a crazy slider, and that's going to be a game where you need to get Kling in there for an at-bat. You need to get Jones in there for those ABs. I mean, you're not at a point where someone needs an opportunity. You're at a point where you kind of know what the team looks like offensively. Let's just play it game by game. And that's, I think, what they'll do. So tonight, for me, with LSU and Nichols, it boils down to what is Jay Johnson and Wes Johnson's plan with this pitching staff, and is tonight a night to start something new? We'll see. 6:30 first pitch from Alec Box Stadium. You can listen to it on our sister station, Eagle 98.1. 6 o'clock will be the pregame show with the voice of the Tigers, Chris Blair, and whichever former Tiger national champion is there with him. Maybe Doug Thompson, maybe Buzzy Heidel, but someone will be there. Interestingly enough, Lady Tigers will be there, and Alexis Morris is going to throw out the first pitch. If you were listening to the Jay Johnson show last night, where Chris Blair was interviewing LSU's head baseball coach, he said, man, unbelievable performance by that team. Talked about how it was great that their team played great in the biggest game, and said, look, Alexis Morris, the way she played in that fourth quarter, she can play for me. And he said, I'm going to invite her to throw out the first pitch whenever she's ready. And it appears like she's ready tonight. So the Lady Tiger fans that are listening want to, obviously going to go out to the parade tomorrow, but one more chance to honor the Lady Tigers tonight at the box when they help throw out the first pitch, and Alexis Morris will be front and center for that. So really cool thing they're doing out there at the box. When we come back, Glenn West of Go 247 talking some spring football. He was there listening to Matt House today. Also, what has he seen from this LSU baseball squad? That's next on the Hunt Palmer Show.
This is Hunt Palmer. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $10,000 off new 2022 Jeep Gladiators and $8,000 off new 23 Jeep Grand Cherokees. All new Bayou automotive vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou is going to do right by you.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's that time again. It's heating up. Your boat's getting ready to come out and spend all summer on the water. It's time to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service, where if you want an incredible custom speaker install, it's going to blow people away in the water, that's there for you. You want an HD sonar where you can see the fish under the water before you cast, beat all your friends, that's there for you at front-to-back boat service. So don't put it off. We got the parts in right now. Get them now before they go back on back order. Front-to-back boat service.
For over a century, local broadcasting has evolved with the needs of the community. We move past the stigmas of opinion journalism and bring the most relevant news online, on air, and on the go. You have trusted us with your news, sports, weather, and entertainment. Trust us to keep moving with you. Text TB to 52886 and tell Congress local broadcasting is here to stay.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Charles Hannigrove, join us for the Wednesday edition of Hanny Time. Scott Rabelais from the Masters, and we do first class, second class, no class. Hanny Time, noon weekdays, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Sharif Ishak, an hour from right now. Big one for the Pels tonight as they are home for Sacramento. We'll get a preview of all that from Sharif, but it's 1:30, so it's time to head out to the Jim's Firearms Hotline. An hour early for Sharif for Glenn West of Go247. Glenn, how are you, sir?
I'm doing great, Hunt. How are you?
Doing very well. Your thoughts on the Lady Tigers run through the NCAA tournament? That's not something we've talked about with you a ton, and I know you weren't on that beat all year long, but pretty impressive performance by those ladies.
Oh, my God. I mean, you're not kidding. I mean, I was, talking about maybe like a Sweet 16, Elite 8 kind of cap on this team, and they were having none of that. I mean, it was as impressive a run as you could possibly imagine. I think they definitely had, drew a nice draw, I think, for a lot of their time, and they were able to take advantage of those opponents. And they did just a phenomenal job all season long, 33-2 in the regular season. You knew that the talent was there. You were just unsure of whether or not it would translate to some of those, better opponents in conference play, and certainly in the tournament time as well. But look, Angel Reese, Alexis Morris, Floje Johnson, Jasmine Carson, all these women will now go down in history as like one of the some of the greatest names in LSU sports. I mean, it's just a really incredible run. Hats off to Kim Mulkey for what she's done in 2 years. Really one of the quickest turnarounds in college athletics history, and it's just been a really impressive and fun ride to really watch them cap off over the weekend.
So who's next, Kim again or somebody else on campus?
Well, I mean, we got, that the year 2 thing is floating around right now. You got Jay Johnson with baseball, Brian Kelly. The hype around LSU football is certainly there. I'm a roll with Jay. I think, look, LSU baseball is in as good a spot as any, number 1 in the country, and rolling through some of these SEC teams, doing a really nice job of taking care of business at home. So, I'm rolling with baseball is next in line, right?
Bigger story over 3 weeks of SEC baseball for LSU, that they're winning 2 out of 3 every weekend, or that the number 2 and 3 spots in the weekend rotation are iffy?
Yeah, I would say probably the number 2 and 3 spot being a little bit iffy at this point is probably a little bit of a bigger story, just because of what that means for the season, in terms of who you're going to be relying on in those situations down the stretch. Look, I have a lot of faith in Ty Floyd. I think the confidence is there with him. He has a couple of pitches and inning. It seems like that teams really are able to locate and knock around a little bit. He's got to get the home runs down. I think that much is a given. But he's done a really nice job, I think, overall of limiting damage when he's been in the game. But I think the bigger question here is what you do with Thatcher Hurd on in that final spot. I mean, it's been a couple weeks in a row now for Thatcher where things just have gotten off to a really rocky start. And, look, Jay didn't really hide from that in his press conference, after the game on Saturday. They didn't really execute the game plan all that well. And I think you're going to be looking at a situation now, like, who do you turn to in that spot? And, certainly Chase Shores' name comes to mind in the way that he's been pitching out of the bullpen. But, certainly some decisions to be made there, and I think that's probably the bigger storyline through 3 weeks of SEC play.
What do you think Jay's going to do?
Put me on the spot there. I think probably I think they probably switch things up a little bit, maybe give Thatcher a little bit of time just to kind of think about things, really reevaluate how he's approaching his outings. I think that was really the big takeaway for me in terms of what Jay said over the weekend is, they've got to go back to the drawing board in terms of a couple of pitchers on staff and putting them in the best positions for them to be successful. And just kind of reading between the tea leaves there, I think that probably means that they're looking at reevaluating stuff. And I think what Chase Shores has shown you on the mound in SEC play has been really good. I think you can take kind of a bullpen approach in that last game of the weekend if you can kind of think that Paul Skeens can get you through most of Friday. Ty Floyd and, I don't know, maybe a lefty pitcher like Ackenhausen can get you through Saturday and leave you a really good portion of the bullpen there for that final game. I think that's probably the route that LSU's looking at.
Do you think they can use tonight as some sort of exploration thing, whether it's sending Thatcher Hurd out there for an inning or two, or giving someone an opportunity to say, hey, we're not going to put you into the fire against South Carolina, but give us 4 innings tonight against Nichols and see what that looks like?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I think Thatcher's going to pitch tonight. Coach Johnson did say after that game on Saturday that he only threw 20 pitches and that the plan is to get him a couple innings in this game tonight. I think that is really, really important for LSU in terms of because he's going to have to be a huge part of this. If LSU wants to have the success they're aiming for this year, they're going to need Thatcher Hurd to get his confidence back and get back to what he was showing as a true freshman before his injury. So, I think that's going to be really important for him to get some reps on the mound. I think you're probably looking at some Blake Money reps as well, and maybe some guys that didn't get as much of an opportunity this weekend to continue seeing if they can show just a little bit of something and be reliable come SEC time and in these weekend series. It's going to be real important because I think the bullpen is probably one area where they have about 4 or 5 guys that they really feel comfortable with, and then there's a little bit of question marks there, and I think they're looking for a few more guys to step up into those roles.
What do you think of Griffin Herring's role is going to be moving forward?
Yeah, I think he's going to be one of the most important guys on the staff moving forward. I mean, when talking about the bullpen guys that they feel comfortable with, it's obviously Garrett Edwards, Chase Shores, and Griffin Herring, I think, are probably those top three guys that have been the most consistent for LSU the last several weeks. And it's been really impressive what Griffin's done, given the fact that he didn't have a whole lot of opportunities in the non-conference play, and they were kind of toying with the idea of what his role would be going forward. And for him to come through in those big spots, particularly in this game over the weekend, I thought was huge for his confidence. It was huge for LSU. I mean, he was throwing 93, 94 miles an hour from the left side. I mean, that's really good SEC pitching there, and a guy that they're going to use in a variety of ways, I think, moving forward.
Were you surprised that LSU got all three Tennessee starters out of the ball game pretty early?
No, I mean, I think that's been kind of their MO. I mean, their approach has been really good. They've been a really disciplined offense. I think even when they're not scoring as many runs, what they've been able to do is drive up pitch counts really all season, and that's been a really big, important part of their offensive success is getting into the bullpen, having the opportunity to kind of knock some guys around in the bullpen and really separate themselves towards the end of games. And so, no, I'm not. I think they've shown that capability all year long, and their lineup, really 1 through 9 has been extremely, extremely consistent in that effort.
Chatting with Glenn West, go 247. How do you think it goes this weekend in Columbia?
Yeah, I think you got to hope for 2 out of 3. That's probably the goal going in, at least. And look, South Carolina is a really great offensive team. They've really had put up some really good numbers. So it's going to be big for the pitching staff, I think, to be able to pitch in that environment and get some low numbers in there. Offensively, I think that this approach and the discipline that these players have, it travels really well. We've talked about that before on this show, I know, but I think that when you have that combination of guys at the top of the order, Dugas and Cruz and White, Morgan, those guys are just so reliable for you in terms of getting on base and putting yourselves in positions to score runs. I think it's going to be a pretty fun weekend, and certainly I think LSU is going to be able to put up some runs on offense.
All right, let's switch over to football pretty briefly. I chatted with Matt House earlier today. Any takeaways from that?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think Matt House, the one thing I think a lot of the media appreciates is he's very quick and to the point, with his answers. I think they're going to be looking to get more versatile this year. I think some of the injuries they've had on the defensive line this spring is kind of limited maybe to what they can really see, this early in the off season, but they really like Harold Perkins. They're using him at linebacker a lot. They're getting that instruction and that teaching into him early this off season to where you come back in the fall and you're able to kind of move him around a little bit more and figure out the best way to keep offenses on their toes. I think that's really important. And the secondary was a hot topic today, and just how they're kind of trying to utilize those guys. Toviano's the guy that they're moving around from safety to corner to nickel. They really like what he can do from an athletic standpoint and making plays. So I think there's a lot of optimism about this defense and some of the strides it can make here in year 2 under Coach House.
He's Glenn West, senior editor there at Go247. All your football, baseball, basketball coverage needs, as well as recruiting, you can find it at Go247. Thanks, Glenn.
All right. Thanks. Talk next week.
Yes, sir. Perfect Game USA came out with their midseason collegiate baseball All-American Awards. We'll give you those and what LSU flavor there is coming up to close out hour number 1 next.
Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
LWCC is Louisiana loyal, elevating and celebrating champions of Louisiana. Go to lwcc.com/champions. You can meet all the champions that we have talked about right here on this show over the past year, and you'll remember names like Metamore, Mimosa Handcrafted, Four Sisters Rice, the Young Entrepreneurs Academy, Fresh Junkie Racing. We've talked about all these folks over the last year and what a great impact they're making on our great state. Talking with the guys from LWCC, they're saying, look, everyone loves our state. They love the music, they love the food, they love the culture, they love the football, they love the parties, they love everything that we have here, but we should be admired as well. And folks like the champions that we've been talking about are folks that should be admired, and a reason why our state should be admired down here in Louisiana. So if you know a champion of Louisiana, I am serious. Go to lwcc.com, nominate a nonprofit, a business or a person to be a champion of Louisiana so that we can tell the story of the great work that they're doing. That's why we're here, and LWCC gives us that platform. So go to lwcc.com/champions to nominate a champion today. LWCC is Louisiana loyal.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Bayou Ford has $10,000 off MSRP on select new 2022 Ford F-150 trucks. $10,000 off plus 0% financing. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's that time again. It's heating up. Your boat's getting ready to come out and spend all summer on the water. It's time to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service, where if you want an incredible custom speaker install, it's going to blow people away in the water, that's there for you. You want an HD sonar where you can see the fish under the water before you cast, beat all your friends, that's there for you at front-to-back boat service. So don't put it off. We got the parts in right now. Get them now before they go back on back order. Front-to-back boat service.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com. Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Each year, Guarantee Media hosts a radiothon to benefit Dreams Come True, the local organization that grants dreams to Louisiana kids suffering life-threatening illnesses and their families. We've interviewed these incredible kids, and their stories warm our hearts. And none of it would be possible without your help. So we're asking for your support in our effort to making more dreams come true. Each year, our Dreams Come True radiothon is powered by the Baton Rouge Clinic. Visit GuaranteeMedia.com to pledge your support today, and thank you.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app.
Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Tuesday's AFR. We'll continue to react to the Natty. Also, LSU football back on the practice field. We'll hear from defensive coordinator Matt House, and the Tigers and Pels play. Join us 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Closing up hour number 1 here on the Hunt Palmer Show. Hope your Tuesday is going well. Perfect Game came out with their midseason All-Americans in college baseball. As you might imagine, LSU was fairly well represented. The National Player of the Year to this point, Dylan Cruz. The National Pitcher of the Year to this point, Paul Skeens. So LSU takes the 2 most important awards from Perfect Game. Interestingly enough, Freshman of the Year is Ethan Petrie, who's been fantastic for South Carolina, who LSU will see coming up in 2 days. But obviously those 2 guys, Cruz and Skeens, on the first team. They're joined by some familiar faces. Wyatt Langford at Florida, Jack Caglione at Florida for sure. Charlie Condon, who's hitting .441 with 11 homers for Georgia, is on the first team as well. Josh Rivera over at Florida. So Florida actually puts 3 guys on the first team All-American team. As far as pitchers go, Brody Brecht from Iowa is on the list as a first-team mid-season All-American. Tommy White, you might ask, where is he? He is a second-team All-American. Tommy White's numbers are really, really good. He's got 45 RBIs. His on-base percentage is .450. He's, obviously hit 8 home runs. He's hitting .372, so he's had a really, really good go. He's on the second team as far as All-Americans go. Second team pitchers, Chase Dollander was mentioned there from Tennessee, and Garrett Edwards from LSU, a second team All-American as a reliever. There are only 2 relievers on the first and second team, so they got Garrett Edwards as a top 4 reliever in college baseball right now. One of the other guys in the second team, Hagen Smith from Arkansas, who is 5-0 to this point, and obviously threw the ball really, really well against LSU. No LSU Tigers on the third team for a perfect game. No LSU Tigers on the third team as far as pitchers go. Hunter Holland on that list. Drew Beam from Kentucky on that list. But on the freshman All-American team, you will find a designated hitter, Jared Jones, from your Fighting Tigers of LSU. He's hitting .367 on the year, on base of .458. Clubbed 8 home runs and driven in 30, so well-deserved from Jared Jones. But obviously Ethan Petrie, who is the freshman of the year over at South Carolina, is on that first team as well. First team pitchers as freshmen, no Fighting Tigers, but Jacob Mayers from Nicholls State, who I'm not familiar with at all. He's on this list, so maybe we'll see Jacob Mayers tonight, even though I would imagine he'll probably be pitching on the weekend for them and not in a game against LSU. But just interesting that a first-team all-freshman pitcher pitches for the Colonels, who will be here tonight. And that will do it for your LSU Fighting Tigers as far as this list goes. But when I saw it, and look, you're not breaking any news to anybody here when I look at this and I tell you that Dylan Cruz is the National Player of the Year and Paul Skeens is the National Pitcher of the Year. But you just hope that those type of things work out when you sit here in January. And they're not done for June for sure. But it just feels good to know that, hey, these 2 guys that we thought we were going to lean on real heavy here that needed to be big-time producers have been nothing short of brilliant through the first 7 weeks of the season. And obviously perfect game recognizing them in that way. So I'm excited to see Ethan Petrie this weekend, see what LSU can do. We'll talk about LSU in South Carolina tomorrow with Demui, with Joe Healy on Thursday. I'll break it down on Thursday as well. But it's a lineup that LSU is going to have to keep in the yard. And that's why I think the matchup with Floyd is not awesome. He does that high spin rate fastball that you can get up under and hit it in the air. We'll see what happens in the game on Saturday, who LSU decides to pitch. But Skeens needs to go out there and win on Friday, and it'll be against Ethan Petrie and his crew from South Carolina that has just been really impressive swinging the bats to this point. It's interesting to me that they're not more represented on this list. Only Gavin Casas joins Petrie on a first, second, or third team All-American crew. Cass is a junior infielder for South Carolina who's hitting .311 on the year, and he's got 15 home runs. So that's remarkably impressive to have 15 home runs at this point in the season. So Casas and Petrie, probably 2 guys LSU needs to concern themselves with this weekend when the Tigers head to Columbia, South Carolina. Looking up at the Masters on my screen there that Golf Channel is running through. Matt Fitzpatrick doing his interview. A lot of interviews being conducted today, and there's some interesting stuff for you golf fans. I'm not going to talk about it, but you golf fans that want to go back and listen to what Tiger Woods had to say about rolling back the golf ball, what Rory McIlroy had to say about rolling back the golf ball. And I haven't seen Justin Thomas yet, but he's got a totally different thought process on the whole thing. So just some interesting conversation over there at Augusta about changing distance in the game of golf. Not going to show up here on the Hunt Palmer Show, but if you want to go check it out when you get home with some live from the Masters or wherever you catch your golf content, you can certainly check that out as we are inside 2 days from the Masters cranking up. If you missed any of my show today in the first hour, I invite you to go check it out on demand, 1045ESPN.com's on demand tab. All the shows are there. All the audio is uploaded there each and every day, so you can always catch it for sure there. You can also see us on Spotify. Catch us on Google, catch us on Apple Podcasts, as well as on YouTube, where those folks are hanging out in the Bayou Ford chat. Always appreciate likes and subscriptions. I'd appreciate that very, very much. Gets our content in front of as many people as possible, and that's always the goal here, to get that content out. I opened up today's show talking about the national championship game last night between UConn and San Diego State. My thoughts on the game, how we got this game, and what UConn's legacy will be as the champs. And LSU Nichols preview for me at 1:15. What should we expect tonight? 6:30 first pitch from the box. You can listen to it on Eagle 98.1 at 6 o'clock. It'll be Chris Blair, and one former Tiger national champion will either be Doug or Buzzy. But you can catch LSU and Nichols tonight at 6:30 first pitch. And Glenn West from Go247 with us at 1:30. Lots to get to here in the second hour. I'm going to open things up with LSU football. Some thoughts from what we heard from Matt House today. LSU defensive coordinator met with the media, so I'll give some thoughts on that. Sharif Ishak coming up at 2:30. Talking a little Pels as they're back on the hardwood tonight. We are in crunch time in the NBA regular season, so Sharif, get us ready for Pelicans and Kings coming up tonight. Don't go anywhere. Come on back. We're going to throw you to Sports Center, and we're going to come right on back with a little bit more. You're listening to the Capital City's leader in sports talk. It's 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
For over a century, local broadcasting has evolved with the needs of the community. We move past the stigmas of opinion journalism and bring the most relevant news online, on air, and on the go. You have trusted us with your news, sports, weather, and entertainment. Trust us to keep moving with you. Text TB to 52886 and tell Congress local broadcasting is here to stay.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's that time again. It's heating up. Your boat's getting ready to come out and spend all summer on the water. It's time to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service, where if you want an incredible custom speaker install, it's going to blow people away in the water, that's there for you. You want an HD sonar where you can see the fish under the water before you cast, beat all your friends, that's there for you at front-to-back boat service. So don't put it off. We got the parts in right now. Get them now before they go back on back order. Front-to-back boat service.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com. Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
All right, let's say ah.
Where'd my spotlight go? super weird, but we can take care of it.
Get in and get better at Patient Plus.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi, and admission today from Tiger Woods that it has crossed his mind this could be his last Masters. He said he doesn't know how many more he's got left in him. Woods discussed what he's gone through since sustaining serious leg injuries in a 2021 car accident, said his mobility's not where he'd like it to be, but he is lucky to still have his leg. Tiger's group tees off round one at 10:18 a.m. Eastern Thursday. Masters coverage on ESPN TV and ESPN+. NBA, as the Warriors prepare to face the Thunder tonight, they're also getting ready to welcome back forward Andrew Wiggins. He's expected back this week after missing 22 games dealing with a family matter. His return is the good news for the defending champs, but there's also bad news, says ESPN's Brian Windhorst.
They are going to have to repeat 4 series if they can get that far without home court advantage. It's never been done before in NBA history. That is a big ask. Now, this is not the Western Conference of your older brother. This is a more meager, more weakness-filled Western Conference, but still, that's a pretty big ask.
Iowa's Caitlin Clark won the 2023 Wooden Award as the nation's most outstanding college basketball player.
When you're trying to hire and fill open jobs, the searching, screening, and interviewing can become its own job. You need Indeed, their powerful hiring platform that makes it easy to attract, interview, and hire quality people. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
Now, Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Holding down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour 2 on this Tuesday. Looking for something to do tonight? Can I interest you in some sports trivia at Pluckers? We're back in action tonight after taking the week off. Last week, we Pluckers Sports Trivia in Nicholson location, 8:30. Live action sports trivia. We'll be watching LSU and Nichols. We'll be watching the Pels. We'll be playing sports trivia, drinking some delicious beers, wonderful food. Always a great time. Grab a team. Come on out to Pluckers. Nicholson location, 8:30 sports trivia tonight. We'll shift gears to football here. And I got to say, as I've I went to practice on Saturday and I've been paying attention to the press conferences. Most of the time I'm here on the show or it's right before the show starts. And I've been locked into spring. It has been a quiet spring over at LSU, and that's a good thing. Certainly Jamar Cain leaving is a news story. You lose your defensive line coach who's responsible for doing a lot of your recruiting on that side of the ball. That's a big hit. But as far as on the field goes, you got a lot of guys who are sitting out. You know, Greg Brooks is in a walking boot, and then he's not in the walking boot this week, and whatever. Your quarterbacks are there going through your reps, and it's just been a quiet spring. And quite frankly, that's fine. It's fine not to be installing an entirely new defense, an entirely new offense. It's fine not to have a brand new quarterback show up and try to figure out the leadership of the team. It's fine not to have a brand new head coach. It's fine not to be coming off a 500 season. It's just been a quiet spring, which I am all for. But Matt House had his opportunity to speak with the media today, and I'll tell you this before we get into these sound bites. As y'all know, or most of you do, I host pregame for the LSU Sports Radio Network, and part of my responsibilities on the pregame show are we record a 2.5 to 3 minute interview that goes into the pregame show. I usually record it on Wednesday. Sometimes it's Friday morning, but sometime during the week, I record a very quick 2.5 to 3 minute interview with an assistant coach. Could be the recruiting coordinator, could be the strength and conditioning coach, could be the offensive coordinator. It changes every week. But I've had Matt House now one time because last year he was the defensive coordinator. And I can tell you this. With Dave Aranda, my 3-minute interview was maybe 2 questions. And then he's talking the rest of the time. Kind of the pulmonary school of interviewing, where you ask a question, you're getting a lot of answers. And then you have other guys like Ed Ogeron and like Matt House, where 3-minute interview, that could be 8 questions because you're getting quick, concise answers that are to the point. There's no fluff. There's no, it's straight to the point. So Matt House met with the media today, and the first statement was just basically a synopsis of, okay, how's spring going?
So
pretty happy with how spring's going as far as, just reestablishing our process, reestablishing the traits that we view as important. A lot of young guys out there getting reps, which is good for our depth going into the fall. I had some good situational work today.
There you go. Just straight, concise, to the point. And from that quote, I can't draw a lot of sweeping generalizations or anything of information whatsoever. What I can tell you to add to that quote is it's different than LSU's had in 5 years. You had the switch from Dave Aranda over to Bo Pelini, over to Durante Jones, over to Matt House. It's been 5 years since someone came back for a spring. So while that's a quick 17-second soundbite from Matt House, we're saying happy just kind of hanging with our process. That's way better than installing an entire defense. Okay? So that's what I hear when I hear him say that. We're just continuing to get some guys some reps and continue to move it forward. The defensive line is a spot that Jamar Cain has vacated. They've got assistants and John Jancic out there helping assist, but Matt House also involved in what's going on the defensive front.
The guys that are on the field right now, I'm really pleased with Jacobian's growth. He's doing a nice job. I'm really pleased with Savion's growth. And you still have Mekhi Wingo. He's at every practice. He may not be on the field. You still have Mason Smith. He's at every practice. You're not on the field. I'm excited about the potential depth of that group. There's a lot of guys that are growing, and that's exciting.
They need depth at that group because they haven't had it in a couple of years. And they had some depth last year, and then Mason Smith went out in the first drive, which hurts your depth a little bit. But I would say that the three biggest names on LSU's defensive front would be Mekhi Wingo, Mason Smith, and Deshaun Womack, right? I mean, 5-star, top 20 player in the country, early enrollees here, and none of those guys are practicing. So it's an opportunity for some of the other players to grow up and to get first-team reps, to get more attention from the coaching staff and more reps than they've gotten potentially at any point in their LSU career. And Jacoby and Gilliam is right in there. And he's going to be in there with guys like Jalen Lee and Jordan Jefferson as depth pieces to this behind Wingo and Smith. And that is so very important to have guys you can funnel in and out. What were we talking about with LSU and Georgia in Atlanta in December? I wasn't at the game, but our whole station was. They said Georgia was running hockey line shifts out there on the defensive front. And LSU's got Wingo and Roy playing just about every snap. I'm not suggesting everybody LSU runs out there is going to be an All-American or a second-round draft pick like most of the guys Georgia's running out there at that point, but you're heading the right direction, depth-wise. And the other name you mentioned there was Savion. This will be a talking point of mine in August, a big one. You will hear this a lot in August when a lot of you kind of crank back in for football. Savion Jones is going to have to become a star for this LSU defense to be as good as it can be. They need that presence on the edge that can change the game. LSU changed the game off the edge at Auburn this year. The offense was doing nothing. The crowd was into it. It was looking really bad for a team that was way up against the wall at Auburn that was putting it on you, and you made a play off the edge, forced a fumble, scoop and score. All of a sudden, you get it rolling. Harold Perkins changed the game off the edge against Ole Miss and Arkansas. Now, he's not going to be there as much. You need a presence off the edge to help change games. Savion Jones could be that guy. Now, I'm looking in the Bayou 4 chat, and Edward O says we need Quincy Wiggins to take that next step. Absolutely. I would love it if Quincy Wiggins did. I think the more likely candidate is Savion Jones. Quincy Wiggins has got all the physical ability you could hope to have. And he's got all the size and all the athleticism, but he hasn't played a lot of football. Savion Jones has played more football than Quincy Wiggins, and quite frankly is someone that the staff talks about a little bit more than Quincy Wiggins. So to me, that's a big deal. And I want to hear that Savion Jones has had a good spring, and I want to hear that he's made strides, and I want to eventually hear that he's becoming a leader on the defenses and is going to be expected to make huge plays for this team. Because if you're going to take one of the most impactful defenders in the country and Harold Perkins and back him up a level, then you better have somebody at that front level that's going to make those types of plays. I'm not suggesting anybody they're going to put in there is as freakish as what 4 is now. He's 4, not 40. But Savion Jones, to me, is the most likely candidate there. So I'm very much looking in that direction for a huge step up. Matt House also talked about some young players that are getting some reps in the spring.
Jackson's had a good spring. Javion's had a good spring. I think in the last 3 practices, the light's kind of clicking a little bit for Witt. Things are slowing down for him a little bit. You know, Ryan Yates, things are starting to slow down a little bit for him. You know, and like I said, it's practice number 8. The true thing for these guys is they start learning, you know, what we value, what our process is, what our traits of excellence are. And that way, in the summer and in training camp, they can apply those.
You know, I might be overreacting here, and I'm aware of that. So take this for what it's worth, but it just feels like some of these guys, whether it's Ryan Yates at the safety spot who's just fresh here, whether it's Whit Weeks who hasn't played much football, whether it's you're talking about JV and Toviano who just got here, it just feels like the step that they can take in March and now April is so valuable in August. Because, I mean, as much as coaches want to control the minds of their players and keep them thinking short term, next rep, next drill, next practice, like right here, they're not dumb. Like, they know the Florida State game is like right around the corner. When it's August 17th, like, Florida State's right there. And right now it's not. So if you can get some of those guys who, I mean, Javian Toviano's going to have to play. He's going to play. It's so valuable for him to get here and have these practices where they're doing install and he's playing a little nickel and he's playing a little corner on the outside and he's playing a little safety and he's watching the coaching staff coach the other players in an environment that, quite frankly, is a notch or two down from August. I was out there Saturday. My dad came out to practice for the first time, and I was telling him, I was like, it's just a notch or two down. And I think that's healthy for the guys. You get out there the first day in August, those whistles are blowing, guys are running, hands are clapping. It is going. This is a little bit down. The first drill we went out to on Saturday, the first drill, they were running a little hurry-up offense against no defense. They were blaring music. Just not like crowd noise, like the baseball team takes BP to music because it just kind of helps with the vibes. That's what they were doing. They're just playing music. That doesn't happen in August, at least not when I've seen it. And so for those young players to come in here and get these 3 to 4 weeks of 2 steps down to get introduced to this level of football, I think is going to help LSU's football team coming up this year. It sounds simple. And it may be overreacting to, hey, they can practice in August and get ready to go. They're good football players and they're in shape. I just think it may help a little bit. And the ability to get those guys as many reps as they can while the numbers are down a little bit and you're not even the slightest bit interested in putting together a game plan, I think that's a very good thing. So that's a lot of what we heard from Matt House. We'll do a little bit more football here before we get to Sharif Ishak. He'll come and join us at 2:30 talking some Pels. Don't go anywhere. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
This is Hunt Palmer. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
For over a century, local broadcasting has evolved with the needs of the community. We move past the stigmas of opinion journalism and bring the most relevant news online, on air, and on the go. You have trusted us with your news, sports, weather, and entertainment. Trust us to keep moving with you. Text TB to 52886 and tell Congress local broadcasting is here to stay.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's that time again. It's heating up. Your boat's getting ready to come out and spend all summer on the water. It's time to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service, where if you want an incredible custom speaker install, it's going to blow people away in the water, that's there for you. You want an HD sonar where you can see the fish under the water before you cast, beat all your friends, that's there for you at front-to-back boat service. So don't put it off. We got the parts in right now. Get them now before they go back on back order. Front-to-back boat service.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com. Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Join me, Jimmy Out and Mike Delicano for the Tuesday edition of Game Time, presented by Bet Rivers. We're at Dozy Place on Government Street in the heart of Mid-City. Game Time presented by Bet Rivers, 6 to 8 p.m. on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
It's April, and that means one of the most special times of the year around here at Guarantee Media, where we help participate in the Dreams Come True Radiothon. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and the Baton Rouge Clinic are bringing you the Dreams Come True Radiothon. Dreams Come True is an organization designed to help grant dreams for children with life-threatening illnesses and their families. Today, Dreams Come True Radiothon presented by Luba, Lewis Mechanical, and Acura of Baton Rouge. If you'll donate today at 1045ESPN.com, you can help make more of these kids' dreams come true. Sometimes it's a trip to Disney, sometimes meet somebody that they've always wanted to meet. Sometimes it's as simple as a dog for the family. But Dreams Come True is such an unbelievable organization that helps out the kids of Louisiana in these trying times, and we're just thrilled to be a part of it. So if you could go to 1045ESPN.com and donate, you cannot donate too much, you cannot donate too little. We've got some wonderful partners that are helping us match donations, and it's a great thing that we do. So if you could go to 104.5ESPN.com and donate today. We're still hanging out with some Matt Hout sound here that we got from earlier today. Tiger defensive coordinator met with the media as we're inching along through spring football over on the Ponderosa. And House had a brief comment on LSU's secondary.
Yeah, I think it's a process. Every day there's new growth and there's new expectations of Coach Kelly's program and what our process is for those guys and how to apply it. I'm excited about the potential of that group, but we got a long way to go.
I would agree with that, and I have not seen them practice at all because you have just got, once again, massive turnover in the secondary. You're looking at a group last year that brought in Bernard Converse and Greg Brooks and Joe Fouché to come help. You brought in Sevin Banks, who obviously was hurt and couldn't help you. But you brought in a number of new guys to help, and then a lot of them moved on. Greg Brooks is still here. He's banged up, but Fouché has moved on. Bernard Converse has moved on. You lost Jay Ward, who's played a ton of football for you as well. You lost Colby Richardson, who moved on. And you've got a massive new group once again. Now, this group should probably stick around a little longer because you would have Denver Harris for a couple of years, Deuce Chestnut, and potentially could leave after this year, but could come back for another year as well. I didn't even mention Mekhi Garner, who came in and moved out. So there's just a lot of moving pieces. So those guys are question marks for varying degrees of things. Denver Harris has got to keep his head on straight. The talent is not an issue. He was on multiple midseason freshman All-American lists over at Texas A&M before he lost his mind. I mean, so the talent is not a question there. It's just a question of, can you keep it between the lines? Look at Zai. I mean, anytime you get a transfer from a different classification, you're going to be questioned. So Zai Alexander's going to have to answer those. And so how well does he fit in? We'll just have to see. I feel pretty good about what Deuce Chestnut's going to bring when he gets here. That track record's pretty solid at Syracuse. Now, you could look at me and say Syracuse and roll your eyes, and I would just say you're an all-conference player in the ACC, like Jarek Bernard Converse was an all-conference player in the Big 12. You're probably a good player. I'm not suggesting you're going to come in here and be an All-American in the 17th pick in the draft, but I think you can help. If you're an All-American and making plays on the ball routinely at Syracuse, I think you can probably go play Mississippi State. So I think he's less of an unknown. Is Sage Ryan ready to make huge contributions? Sounds like he's going to play a lot of nickel. Javian Toviano, is he a nickel? Is he a safety? Does he have to go play on the outside? What's he ready for? You feel like Brooks and Burns in the back end are going to help you out there. But it's just a lot of moving parts. We got so sucked in and so used to just an assembly line of 5 stars, all-conference players, and first and second round picks. You had Patrick Peterson. He moved on. There's Morris Claiborne. There's Tyrann Mathieu. There's Daryl Simon. They move on. The next crew comes up. It's Tre'Davious White. It's Jalen Mills. It's Kevin Tolliver. Here comes Derek Stingley. You had Christian Fulton. I mean, it was just an assembly line. And in the back end, it was all the guys you know. Eric Reed, Craig Lawson. And you move on down the line a little bit, and you have elite level safety play with Jamal Adams, Grant Delpit. Like, it just, and that assembly line got chopped up over the last 3 years. And it's just not what it was from a high school 5-star, freshman player, sophomore starter and all-league player, All-American, Thorpe Award, second-round pick, first-round pick. Like, that sounds ridiculous, but that's actually what it was. Y'all know. And that hasn't been there. The continuity, I mean, you had the next crew left. Dwight McLaughlin had a pretty promising career. You know, could have been a really good player. High round draft pick. He left. Eli Ricks is in that. He was after Stingley. And he left. So it got chopped up. I feel like the talent level is going to be a little bit higher on this year's team at corner and safety, but it's not quite what it was. So any development that happens over there is going to be a positive. It's such a luxury for a defensive coordinator when you can trust your guys to cover. It allows you to be more creative. It allows you to be more disruptive at the line of scrimmage. And it just frees your defense up. You can't cover. You can't really take any chances at the line of scrimmage. You're going to get toasted. You got to be conservative. You got to try to keep everything in front of you. It's just not as dynamic a defensive effort. And so this secondary I feel a little bit better about than I did entering last year. And last year's didn't play terrible. But it's just not the same feel that it was for 15 years around here, where it was just clockwork. And we got spoiled. I did. Just kind of assumed that would just go on for a very, very long time. Now the hope is that Corey doesn't come in here and start stealing guys. That hasn't been the case thus far. Florida has not had a lot of success coming in and taking guys that LSU wanted. Hopefully that remains the same. That would be my sincere hope as we kind of move forward. So that's some thoughts from Matt House, LSU's defensive coordinator. LSU continues to work through spring football, and we'll be there every step of the way, getting you your sound, getting your thoughts from practice for those of us that can make it. And it's just, as I said at the top, it's been a slow spring, and that's fine. Any real news from this spring would be kind of just disappointing. You just want, he looks good, they're doing fine, we're moving forward each day, all that kind of stuff. I don't need to hear about injuries or transfers or anything significant. Jamar Cain was about as big a news as we need out of this spring. Everything else, just keep it between the buoys, keep everybody healthy, and let's get into the off-season program. We'll see it in Hoover for Media Days. I don't know where it is this next time. See it Media Days, and then we'll see it when fall camp opens up in August. Looking for something to do tonight? Sports trivia at Pluckers, 8:30 Nicholson location. Watching LSU Nichols. Be watching the Pels. We'll be playing sports trivia. It's a lot of fun. So grab a team and come to the Nicholson location for 8:30. Going to be a good time out there at Pluckers. So come on back after this. Sharif Ishak on those Pels. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. It's not an awesome time to move right now for a lot of people. And if that's the case for you, then how about your dream bathroom? How about your dream closet? I know the place you can go to get them. One Bath and Closets. Go to the website, OneBathAndClosets.com. There are testimonials. They'll tell you about David Duvall and his team. They're going to start your process with a questionnaire. What you want? What's your dream? What could we potentially do for you? And then they'll start the process for you. They'll put together a schedule. They're going to stick to it. They're going to show up on time. They're going to complete their project on time. And I promise you, they're not coming back 3 weeks later because something wasn't done correctly. They're going to do it right the first time and leave the competition behind. Maybe it's a tub-to-shower conversion in your bathroom. Maybe it's a full-scale bathroom renovation. Maybe on the closet side, they're going to rip out your whole closet and redesign one customized for you with the shelves, with the lights, with the racks, with the mirrors. Or maybe you've got the space, you just don't use it efficiently. David Duvall and his team can help you with that as well. Check out the website, OneBathAndClosets.com. If you tell them the Hunt Palmer Show sent you, they're not charging you to rip out the old closet. They're not charging you for the labor to put in the new one, only the cost of that unit. The website again, OneBathAndClosets.com.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the JimsFirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the JimsFirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz vans.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust poll of the day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, anytime. Hunt Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the poll of the day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's that time again. It's heating up. Your boat's getting ready to come out and spend all summer on the water. It's time to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service, where if you want an incredible custom speaker install, it's going to blow people away in the water, that's there for you. You want an HD sonar where you can see the fish under the water before you cast, beat all your friends, that's there for you at front-to-back boat service. So don't put it off. We got the parts in right now. Get them now before they go back on back order. Front-to-back boat service.
Each year, Guarantee Media hosts a radiothon to benefit Dreams Come True, the local organization that grants dreams to Louisiana kids suffering life-threatening illnesses and their families. We've interviewed these incredible kids, and their stories warm our hearts. And none of it would be possible without your help. So we're asking for your support in our effort to making more dreams come true. Each year, our Dreams Come True radiothon is powered by the Baton Rouge Clinic. Visit GuaranteeMedia.com to pledge your support today, and thank you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated.
Charles Hannigrove, join us for the Wednesday edition of Hanny Time. Scott Rabelais from the Masters, and we do first class, second class, no class. Hanny Time, noon weekdays, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All right, it's crunch time. In the National Basketball Association, Pels in a pretty good spot. Could be a lot worse. They continue to play well down the stretch like they did last year, and they got a big one tonight. We'll chat with Sharif Ishak of the Jim's Firearms Hotline about that. Sharif, they're playing better.
I think when we spoke last week, I think the script is expected, like I told you. They would lose to the Warriors, beat the Nuggets, and then beat the Clippers. And here we are, 4 games left. They got a chance here to do something kind of nice.
Are they playing better?
Yes, especially Brandon Ingram. What he's doing in every single category is just something that, I think that's what everyone is expecting to see whenever he was healthy. And it is very, all-pro level type of playing, the way he's like maneuvering through this offense right now and just slicing through defenses. And that's exactly what they need in order to, make a run here and then maybe avoid the play-in and have a nice little playoff run. So he's got to maintain it. He's definitely got to maintain it, and he's just in his zone.
He is. I mean, so a lot of the talk at the end of last week, before the Clippers game, was, yeah, nice job going on the road, going out west, but some of these teams didn't have their guys, and you beat them. And now they still count the same, and so I'm not trying to disparage the wins. I'm just trying to get a feel for whether or not they may have turned a little bit of a corner and may have a run in them.
I think defensively they've turned a corner a little bit, minus that Warriors meltdown. I mean, it's hard to stop Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, but I think they're 5th in defensive rating, and that says a lot. I mean, to be top 5 in the NBA right now down the stretch, being 5th in defensive rating is a good thing. So, yeah, I think they're starting to kind of get it together at the right time defensively. That's where it matters the most with this team. If you have Ingram locked in and focused, and you have your defense doing the right things, I think that's where I think you're turning the corner.
We know that Jonas Valanciunas is not a great defensive player. He's out there for his offense. He's not a great rim protector. He doesn't move as well as a lot of the bigs in the NBA, but he does give you something on the offensive end. How do they continue to mask him defensively and help him out?
that's been the struggle with him on the court. It feels like it's 5-on-4 defensively, but offensively, if you're going to play him, you have to continue feeding him the ball. You can't just have him out there and not feeding the ball offensively. There's a stretch of the games where he's out there and he's not even touching the ball. It's like, man, he's got a mismatch down there. Get him the ball some more. But yeah, defensively, I think it's just doubling. Whenever people get down there, you're seeing, some of his teammates come down there and help. I mean, it's just not good defensively. He's a great rebounder, but it's just defensively, it's a struggle. And there are some times whenever he doesn't play, and you see Larry Nance playing, but that's just how it is. This team just doesn't play well with him on the court defensively. That's why they have the other guys like Herb and Larry out there at times helping him.
Sacramento tonight, 7 o'clock tip down in the Blender. You can actually get in for fairly cheap. My ESPN app is telling me. But what are some thoughts on the matchup with Sacramento tonight?
The last time they played them in the Smoothie King Center was an absolute demolishing. The Pelicans crushed them. I think that's just the way they're playing right now. Of course, they're going to have a chance, but they just got to continue to run this offense through BI in order to have a chance. I think this game is more important than the Memphis game tomorrow night. I think you can get tomorrow night's game even on the back-to-back, because I think Memphis knows they're locked into their seed, and they're probably going to rest some players. So this is the must-win game if you at least want to have the number 7 seed. You got to get this one tonight for sure. But I feel good. I mean, I really feel good just the way they've been playing the last 2 weeks, and knowing that they have 3 games at home, the way they've been able to play defensively. They got a chance in this one. I think they want to get them a little payback from the last time they played in Sacramento, and they just ran them out of the building.
Well, that's the interesting thing is, Sacramento is such an elite offensive team, one of the best in the NBA. So do the Pelicans have a better chance of slowing that offense down with the defense that they've been playing that's been a little bit better? Or do they have a better chance of, hey, let's just run with them and try to beat them, 127, 125?
I'm not a fan of playing another team's game. Like, if you can slow it down a bit and just try to rattle them defensively, it's great. That's the way I would lean tonight. Is don't play running gun with them. Don't do that. I mean, they can get up some shots. Yeah, I mean, there's some games where they go cold from outside, the Kings, and you can absolutely run them out of the building, and that's great. But they've been more impressive in terms of not missing threes. There's some games that they're just lights out. You don't want them to get lights out on you and running gun on your court. I would slow the game down a little bit, but not too much. So that's the way I would approach it, and that's what they did last time. They let the Kings shoot a bunch of threes that didn't go in, and they just absolutely ran them off the court in the Smoothie King Center. Doesn't always happen that way, but I would stick to my guard and go defensive here and let it run through BI. I mean, it's plain and simple as that.
You expect a good environment tonight?
I expect a good environment tonight, tomorrow, Friday against the Knicks. And then we'll see what happens. We'll see if the guy who wears number 1 returns to the lineup Friday or maybe or Sunday in the finale. They need him.
Are there any murmurs over there about what the expectation is?
Not practicing. And they think when I looked at the schedule, they only have 1 practice left, and it's Saturday before that game in Minnesota.
Yeah.
So, man, look, it'd be nice at least to have him come off the bench at worst. And I thought maybe we'd see him Friday or Sunday. It'd be great to at least see him in one of those 2 games, even if it's off the bench. If they sneak in and don't have to play in the play-in and somehow win these games without him, then you have an extra week at least to get him back on the court for the playoffs.
You want to talk about a shot of life. You talk about they beat the Clippers. If they beat Sacramento and then beat Memphis, and then Friday in the home finale against the Knicks, trying to play for a seeding, and Zion checks in the second quarter, I mean, that place will go nuts.
The entire roof will come off the Smoothie King Center. And I think teams are like, oh, boy, we have to play them possibly in the play-in if we have to come back as a 7-8 or have to post them as a 3-6 with a healthy Zion. I was like, I don't think we want a part of this team the way they're playing right now, plus you get the addition of Zion. So, yeah, I mean, that's a shot in the arm they need is getting Zion back, because you get him in the lineup, man, they could probably win a series or 2. No joke. I mean, you would get the team that everyone expected whenever they were in first place, 23-12 for 35 games.
I'm on the record. That's what I'm pulling for. I'm pulling for the Pels to beat Sacramento, beat Memphis, and then Zion to play in the home finale against the Knicks. Just sign me up for that right this very second. So give me a thought on Memphis and the Knicks in the next couple.
I think that, if Memphis is truly doing what they're doing, I mean, they're locked in at the 2, and they don't think the Kings can get them. I mean, they're going to just sit some guys because they're looking long-term playoffs. And the Knicks, no Randall, and they're locked in their spot. That's why I'm saying those 2 games should be winnable. I understand it's a back-to-back tonight and tomorrow, but those 2 games should be winnable. And I think they want to get back Memphis. They need to get Memphis back. Because the last couple times in Memphis, those games was absolutely brutal and ugly to watch.
Yeah.
The Knicks, they did it to them too in New York. And I think, like you said, if Zion comes back against a team that so-called wanted to draft him in the draft, and they can get out there and just run him off the court, it would be a great thing going into the playoffs and going into the finale against Minnesota. So that's the direction I would lean into. I think they can win these final 3 home games and then see what happens Sunday in Minnesota. They're reeling.
So that was going to be my next question. Like, are you calling for a 4-0 here? Sharif, come on. What do you got?
Every time I say something, the opposite happens.
That's right.
I don't know 4-0. Maybe 3 out of 4. I think 3 out of 4. I don't know. What if they're locked into a position by the time they get to the finale on Sunday? They don't. There's that the highest they can get is 7, and there's no need to risk an injury in that finale against Minnesota. I'll say 3 or 4.
Are y'all even attempting to, on your newscasts or anything that you do, try to explain the possibilities in terms of seeding? Because I read a piece on it today, and it just doesn't translate to radio. Like, I can't. There's too much that can happen over the next week for me to even try to lay it out. You just say, the Pelicans need to go win.
How confusing is it for you to say on radio?
It's almost impossible. You have nothing in front of you. At least y'all have a television, so you can maybe explain a few things.
If we have a 3.5-minute segment, it would probably take a whole 8 minutes to explain which teams need to lose to who, and it takes a lot of explaining. Just win. It's as simple as that. Just win. The Pelicans do win all 4 of these games, they're out of the play-in.
Yeah.
And that's just as simple as that. Just do that. Win all 4 games, and you don't have to worry about playing early next week.
You heard it here. Sharif Ishak says the Pels are going 4-0 to finish the regular season. They'll beat all Sacramento, Memphis, New York, and Minnesota, and they're missing the play-in. So that's the kind of analysis we call on you for, Sharif. Thank you.
A few weeks ago, you asked me Western Conference Finals and Championship. Might as well just keep riding it.
A final thought on Kim Mulkey and the girls winning the national championship. I know you were watching.
That was fun. That was being able to cover those games in Dallas. Those games, all 3 of those games were exciting. Yeah. That was some of the best basketball I've seen in quite a long time, like college basketball, period. That was fun. The environment was fun. What Kim Mulkey and what the team did in that game was next level. To see Jasmine Carson come off the bench and score 16 in the second quarter, and then Alexis Morris to close out her career with a 15-point fourth quarter. Everyone who had eyes on, Angel Reese, man, those 2 guards and LaDasia Williams, fantastic. It's a fantastic way, to close out your career. And just goes to show, don't bet against Kim Mulkey in finals, man. She's 4-0 now, and I wouldn't be surprised if she wins a couple more, at least a couple more for LSU. And, man, they're getting their ROI. Scott Woodward getting the ROI and more. Let's see if Jay Johnson and Brian Kelly can do it in year number 2.
That's the buzz around town now. Jay's next, so we shall see. Sharif, thanks for the time, man.
Anytime. Dennis Allen and Willie Green, too, in year number 2. We'll see.
Of course. Yeah, that's definitely going to happen. Thank you for that. That's Sharif Ishak from WDSU on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. We'll take one more time out, come back and close things out with some Take It or Leave It on the Hunt Palmer Show.
Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Golf's first major is a tradition unlike any other, and now you can bet on who you think will win at Augusta on FanDuel. Right now, all customers can get a bonus bet back if your Augusta winner pick doesn't win, but finishes in the top 10. Is it Rory's time? Pick him to win. If he doesn't, but finishes in the top 10, get your bonus bets back. There's no better time to get in on the action. The app is so easy to use. There's so many different betting options. And when you win, you'll get paid instantly. So drive down Magnolia Lane and take a swing at betting the first major. Visit FanDuel.com/1045ESPN and get bonus bets back if your Augusta winner pick doesn't win, but finishes in the top 10. That's FanDuel.com/1045ESPN. Must be 21 and present in Louisiana. Refund issues and non-withdrawable bonus bet that expires 7 days after receipt. Max bonus $25 unless otherwise specified. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. If you or somebody knows the gambling problem and wants help, call 1-877-770-STOP.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's that time again. It's heating up. Your boat's getting ready to come out and spend all summer on the water. It's time to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service, where if you want an incredible custom speaker install, it's going to blow people away in the water, that's there for you. You want an HD sonar where you can see the fish under the water before you cast, beat all your friends, that's there for you at front-to-back boat service. So don't put it off. We got the parts in right now. Get them now before they go back on back order. Front-to-back boat service.
The world's leaders in obesity research, obesity medicine, and obesity science are right here.
We're doing something that no one's ever done, or trying to answer a question that no one's ever asked before.
Pennington is a real jewel when it comes to research.
We are finding the solutions to the world's worst chronic disease, which is obesity. Louisiana needs Pennington Biomedical.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com. Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood.
Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Tuesday's AFR. We'll continue to react to the Natty. Also, LSU football back on the practice field. We'll hear from defensive coordinator Matt House, and the Tigers and Pels play. Join us 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
I was so happy last night. First time in 2023. Got the grill fired up to cook dinner. Had the Cubs game on, the first night game while I was cooking. Just feels right. I get to do that through September. Now I'm sitting here about to wrap up the show. I got the Cubs lineup posted today. The Cubs lost yesterday. They're not playing worth a flip, but they're back, and that gives me great joy. So I hope you have an MLB team to root for because it's fun. You know what else is fun? Take it or leave it. Let's do it, Jacob Beck.
All right, starting off, we've got video of this actually.
Okay.
A Brewers fan enjoyed the team's home opener a little too much. He was caught urinating on the main concourse as dozens of shocked fans walked by him. Take it or leave it.
This guy, if you're watching the YouTube, it's not graphic at all. This guy is literally standing in the middle of the concourse, not like pinned behind a trash can or around a corner, right in the middle of the concourse, just peeing. I mean, how many beers do you have to drink for that to happen? I mean, I'm sure it's not Miller Park anymore, but I'm sure they got plenty of beverages over there. I mean, like 30, 35, 40? Like, that's not a 9-beer action right there.
I don't understand
It's just not.
I don't understand how he's doing that, and somebody that works there doesn't go grab him.
Well, I mean, do you want to get in the line of fire there? I mean, I think you just got to let it go. I mean, got to get the squeegee out, get the mop bucket out. We got a little bit of a problem. Got a slippery when wet situation.
It already looks kind of wet actually around him. I don't know what's going on
It's just unbelievable. I can't I mean, look, I've had plenty of drinks in my day. I have had too many drinks in my day. That's just beyond anything that I can comprehend. And so I'm going to leave that. I'll leave pretty much anything the Brewers do, but peeing all over the concourse, something I'm going to leave. Pathetic.
All right, rain is in the forecast for Augusta this weekend.
Yep.
That benefits Rory McIlroy. Take it or leave it.
Ooh, you got to take it.
I'll take
big time. Obviously, Congressional, Roy won his first major when it was just a slop fest, and he just hits it so high and so far. And a lot of guys depend on a little bit of roll in their tee shot. He does not, and he thrives in those soft conditions. So Augusta does have the sub-air system under their greens, so they will be able to suck all the moisture out of the greens if they need to. But just in far as the fairways being wet and soggy, Rory thrives on that. He carries the ball as far as most of the people, if not all the people in that field. So, yeah, that would be a big help for Rory as he kind of quests for the career Grand Slam.
All right, former McDonald's All-American Jaden Bradley has announced he'll enter their transfer portal and leave Alabama. Big loss for the Tide. Take it or leave it.
Yeah, got to take that. Obviously, Brandon Miller's already moving on. Quinterly's an old player who's gonna move on. I mean, he's kind of the next guy in the backcourt. Sears is old, and I don't know if he'll be back or not. You never know these days. But if Jaden Bradley was a McDonald's All-American, he was a key piece to this team. He started some games for him, and you would figure kind of move into a leadership role. And it's not like he's leaving from the NBA. He's just leaving. So I can make like uneducated, ill-informed, sweeping generalizations that'll probably be hot take radio. Like, whoa, real drama around that basketball program because of what went on this year. It was very uncomfortable. Everybody's going to get out. I don't believe that to be the case. I think Nate Oates will do what he's done for 4 years now and put together a really solid roster. I thought Jaden Bradley would be a big piece to what Alabama does next year in basketball, and appears that will not be the case. So I'm all for that.
All right, golfer Will Zalatoris said he lost 7 pounds from the illness that caused him to withdraw from the Dell Match Play last month, which also got to make a point here. He was 0 for 3, I think.
No, he was 0-2 because I picked him in my fantasy golf that week, and he was 0-2, and then he withdrew, which made him 0-3.
So take that or leave it.
I'm leaving it because of my fantasy golf, but also, have y'all seen Will Zalatoris? He's 6'1", 105. He weighs literally nothing, and he lost 7 pounds?
I feel like if he lost 7 pounds, he'd have to go to the hospital.
His belt size is like 11. I mean, there's nothing. Else the belt sizes are even numbers, so 10. But he weighs, he's the skinniest guy on the tour. How he could lose 7 pounds, I have no idea, but it must have been a pretty significant illness. I could probably catch about 8 of those illnesses and be in pretty good shape.
Maybe it has something to do with his putting stroke, actually.
Well, that's very possible as well, because that's very, very ugly. But yeah, I was a little salty when I picked Zalatoris in one of the biggest purchases of the year, and he bailed for illness, which was very disappointing. He lost to Andrew Putnam on the first day, who I'll be quite frank, I've never heard of. So that was a tough scene for my fantasy golf squad. But you know what? Live and learn. Will Zalatoris probably going to play pretty well at the Masters. He's a great iron player, and so we'll see. But that's it for Take It or Leave It here on this Tuesday. One more reminder, Pluckers Sports Trivia tonight, 8:30. It's Sports Trivia. We'll be watching LSU Nichols. We'll be watching the Pels and Kings, and we'll be playing Sports Trivia. It's a great time. Come on out, enjoy the great food and drinks over at Pluckers, play some Sports Trivia, win some gift cards, and enjoy your evening, or head out to the box. Watch LSU and Nichols. That's also a great alternative as well. If you missed any of the show today, catch it on demand, 1045ESPN.com's on-demand tabs where all our shows are listed. All the stuff is archived there each and every day. If you're more of a Pandora, Spotify listener, we're there as well. Google, we're there. And also on YouTube where all our shows are archived every day. If you're on YouTube, appreciate you guys in the Bayou Ford chat. Throw us a like on the way out if you would. That always helps. And you can always subscribe to the channel as well. It means all our content will come right to your fingertips, which is what we want. We want you to take in our content each and every day. Open the show today with my reaction to the national title game last night, what it meant that San Diego State was there, what it meant that UConn beat them, what it means for this UConn team's legacy and UConn's program as a whole. All that in the first segment. My preview of LSU and Nichols tonight, 6:30 first pitch. You can catch it on the pregame show over on Eagle 98.1 at 6. What does it mean tonight? Glenn West told us that Thatcher Hurd is going to get some work tonight. I'm curious to see how that goes and what he does with the rest of the pitching staff as they try to get this win before they head to Columbia, South Carolina to take on the Gamecocks Thursday, Friday, Saturday of this week. As I mentioned, Glenn West was with us at 1:30, talking a lot of baseball, talking some football as well as he visited with Matt House earlier today. Perfect Game came out with their midseason All-American honors. How well was LSU represented? Well, you'll have to go back and listen to the end of the first hour to find out. But as you'd imagine, it was good for the Tigers at 145. Some football thoughts in the whole first 30 minutes of the second hour. Matt House sound on his secondary. Matt House sound on his defensive front. Matt House sounds on how this spring has gone thus far. All the thoughts from the second-year Tiger defensive coordinator, and I kind of gave my thoughts on all of that as well. So that was all in the first half of hour number 2 for those of you football heads that want that content. And then Sharif Highshack talking about the Pels. Sharif guaranteed the Pels are winning the last 4 and missing the play-in, and Zion's coming back. He guaranteed all of it. So you can go ahead and take that to the bank. We always close things up with take it or leave it. That'll do it for us here on this Tuesday. Excited for tomorrow's show. We'll chat with Demui. We'll preview the Masters with some gambling picks as well. Speaking of gambling picks, tonight, Jimmy Ott's Game Time from 6 to 8. He'll be with Mike Delicano. Matt Moscona is about to drive you home on After Further View. See you tomorrow, same time, same place. 1 to 3 weekdays, The Hunt Palmer Show.